千里之行，始于足下。A journey of 1,000 miles begins beneath the feet. We now gather in the Tao to travel the journey together. Welcome to Tao Talks with Eric Lin, where we take a deep dive into the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. I would like to extend a warm welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. I would like to invite you to center your thoughts and direct your attention to this moment in time, to the here and now, to be fully present and mindfully aware as we all ready ourselves for this sacred process in the Tao with one another. The one thing at this point I want to emphasize is that there is a flow in the thinking of Lao Tzu from the beginning of this chapter to the end. Let me show you what I mean by that. We begin with the yin and yang principles at the start of this chapter. We have seen that Lao Tzu talks about it in 3 parts. So we begin with this symbol for the Tao, the yin and yang. The first part that Lao Tzu talked about was know the masculine, hold to the feminine. And in the bullets below, you'll see that means know how to be forward, how to advance, but choose to be observant, considerate, and patient. You can frame this in a number of different ways. You should know how to push, how to take control of a situation, how to speak your mind. These are ways to manifest the yang or masculine energy, which everybody has. But then what you choose is not that. You choose to gently guide a situation toward a better outcome for everybody. You choose to listen and ask clarifying questions in order to understand. That's holding to the yin. In the same way, we go to the second section where Lao Tzu says, know the white, hold to the black. Meaning, know the highly visible appearance and approach, that's the white, but choose to hold the unseen substance, of course, strength. That's the black. We can extend from this to understand and apply that this means to know, to understand how to be visible, how to be seen, how to project, how to present. But then at the same time, what you choose is not that. You choose to hold to the aspects people do not see, the aspects that are not visible or noticeable, like the work that goes on behind the scenes, the foundation that you build, not the soaring towers on top of it, but the basis that you have built at the bottom to hold it all up. This is the real value, literally underneath it all. Then, going further with the yin and yang, we move to know the honor, hold to the humility, the third section. And remember, the meaning is to know the height of great honor, but choose the depth of humility. know how to succeed, how to attain the highest honors, but choose the low instead of the high. Choose to be down to earth instead of high and mighty, putting on airs. So all these together, I think you can see them as a unified whole. It is the same idea expressed in three different ways. Then we get to the part where Lao Tzu uses metaphors, three metaphors specifically that one would embody by knowing the yang, but holding to the yin. First, we have be the watercourse of the world. To be the watercourse is to be a nexus where the flow of human interactions come together. So, as I mentioned previously, this is utilizing observation of nature, noting that there's always a place where multiple streams flow together to form a larger stream. That's the watercourse. Then, Lao Tzu says, you can embody the next metaphor, be the standard of the world. To be the standard is to teach by setting an example and not by telling people what to do. And the image that I've chosen for that is a flag. And the word standard can mean the flag or a banner. It's a rallying point for others. So this is the unifying thing that people will gravitate to. By setting a positive example, you get everybody on the same track. Then the third embodying of the metaphor is the valley. Be the valley of the world. This means to welcome all within your circle, accepting diverse opinions and perspectives. And here we have the fertile valley. The abundance of the valley is a direct result of you being accepting and welcoming. So beyond the yin and yang, beyond the metaphors, there's just the eternal virtue. So ultimately, everything that we have discussed, if we embody all these examples, if we become the watercourse, the standard, the valley, it all moves you toward the eternal virtue. The first one, the first aspect of the eternal virtue is that the eternal virtue does not depart. You cannot lose your virtues because they have become a part of you. The virtues are not what you do, but who you are as a person. At this level, you're not just somebody who has the Tao, but you and the Tao are one. That is the realm we're talking about. Then, the second aspect of the eternal virtue is that the eternal virtue does not deviate. So the Tao is constant, it is eternal. The eternal virtue deriving from the Tao, sourced in the Tao, will be the same. It will never change. It will always be constant. It is eternal as well. Apply to you as a person, this means your discipline ensures you never deviate from the path. No deviation also means there are no loopholes, exceptions, shortcuts, or compromises in the Tao. And number three, the eternal virtue shall be sufficient. Your self-nature creates all the dharmas in your life. This is a Zen way of talking about the same thing. Self-nature is your true essence, who you really are. The dharmas is everything, all the manifestations of your life. Then the realization is that you have been self-sufficient all along. So if that is the Zen expression of this concept, what is the Tao way of saying it? Well, it goes like this. The great Tao is the source of all things in creation. Whatever the source is, the name, the label that we give to it is the Tao. Next, the Tao is in you because you come from the Tao. That Tao within is the source of everything in your life because the Tao creates everything. So that means you already possess everything you need to transcend all of your challenges. You have everything you need, all the solutions to solve all of your problems. So here's the thing, everybody. You never really needed gurus or deities at all. Friends and fellow cultivators can point things out for your attention, but at the end of the day, it's all up to you. So we began this mini segment with the symbol of the yin and yang representing the Tao. Now we're going to end the segment with the Tao as well. It is now time to pull everything together to illustrate all the concepts in this chapter with one graphic. Why? Because a picture is worth 1,000 words. So we're going to incorporate everything that we have learned so far, starting with know the yang in terms of knowing the masculine energy, positive, moving, advancing, action-driven, dynamic. While knowing the masculine, hold to the feminine, the receptive, the quiet, the tranquil, the peaceful. This leads us, if we're able to do that, then it leads us to embody the water course metaphor, the place that effortlessly attracts good people and good things into your life. As I mentioned previously, people talk about the law of attraction. Here, Lao Tzu is telling us the way to make it work is exactly this. Know the yang, hold to the yin. And here is the image of the watercourse. And this is the return to the infant. The infant representing our primal state. Before we became tainted by growing up in this material world, we all began our lives this way. This means the eternal virtue does not depart. That is, we cultivate, we practice the virtue so that they become an eternal, constant part of us. So that is the first column. This is the row that is human-oriented. It is a focus on humanity. So we have male and female on the left, infant on the right. When we see that and then we have the watercourse metaphor in the middle. This is how we can tell the metaphor of the watercourse, it applies to humanity, to human interactions. Water flowing together is symbolic of socialization, social interactions. This is built in to human languages, not just ancient Chinese, but modern English as well. Think about how we talk about going to a social mixer. So the word mixer appended to social is another way to talk about the watercourse. And in a party, in the mixer, in a gathering, we talk about let's go mingle with people. So that is also very similar to water mixing together, flowing together. That's the first row. For the second row, we begin with the white. And you recall that this means the highly visible. Then we continue on with the black. And this is the complementary opposite, the unseen, the unnoticed, the thing that people generally don't pay attention to. Then the metaphor to embody, the standard for which I use a flag. When you are able to know the visible, but focus on the unseen, you embody the standard or the example for others. This is because you literally become a person of substance, a person who emphasizes the internal over the external appearance. So this is a return to the boundless. And this is the symbol for wuji, which is the state of being before there was anything. So we use a circle to represent that. In terms of the eternal virtue, it does not deviate. It never changes. It is eternally constant. So this row, as you can see, it works on a symbolic level. The white and black are just another way to represent the complementary dualities in general. It is not necessarily success or failure. They both have their place. So now let's go to the third row. We begin with the honor. I used the mountain peaks to represent that. And we proceed to the humility represented by water. Water flows to the lowest point. So it is the natural metaphor for humility. Then the embodiment for this is the valley. Here we have the fertile valley. This is a return to the plain wood, the pu, which then leads us to eternal virtue that is self-sufficient. So notice that in this row, it is just nature-based images. In the first row, we have humanity. In the second row, we have the symbolic, the Tao, the yin and yang. Here, we have nature-based images all in a row because nature is self-sufficient. Nature provides everything that is needed by the myriad things. So we want to embody and be reflective of this principle. And indeed, that greater nature, the great outdoors, nature itself, it's reflected in our internal nature, in human nature as well. What I mean is, we come into this world with self-sufficiency. As we are born into this world, we don't have anything, but we are naturally gifted with a mind that is capable of understanding the Tao, capable of self-awareness, and that awareness motivates us to be better and do better. So everything here, if we were to look at the image vertically, in the first column, we have manifestations of the Yang principle. Vertically on the second column, we have manifestations of the Yin principle. The third column, we have the manifestations of the embodiment. Then we have returning to different ways to represent us at our most primal, at our most spiritually powerful. So these are the three approaches that Lao Tzu describes, as I mentioned, consolidated into one image. But what about the conclusion? The fourth section, the last section that we study today. Well, that's coming up right now. This is the final and most important question of this chapter: how to tie everything together in order to apply the Tao to life. So we've got three columns here. The first column to the left, embodying the metaphors. You can see the images to the left of the first column, reminding us what those metaphors are. In the middle, we have a column for how the sages bring people together. So this is from toward the end of the chapter that says the sages utilize them and then become leaders, leading a group effort. Then on the rightmost side, we have a column about the outcome. And they connect the last section to all three sections. This is how it all maps to group dynamics. Living with your loved ones and working with everybody you come across. So let's run through the metaphors. By now, we're very familiar as to what they are. The first one is simply the watercourse. The place where multiple streams join together to become a greater stream. How can we see that when we apply it to the group? Well, the different streams represent individuals. Flowing together represents coming together, joining forces to team up. We become greater when we flow together. We become a group, a team, or family. And what about the rightmost column? How would this apply to group dynamics? So your eternal virtue remains as a part of you, eternally constant, when you connect with others. And it is what powers your ability to know the yang and hold to the yin. That is a benefit, that is a result of your eternal virtue. Now let's move to the standard, represented here by a flag. It's just an example that has been set up like a flag that rallies the troops on a battlefield. a highly visible rallying point. How would that be applied to a group setting? The example to follow is a unifying point, like that flag, for all of us, as if, we are the soldiers in the battlefield of life. We look to the rallying point as a guide, as the place that we're heading to, and how this applies to eternal virtue. We're following the same Tao, we're rallying to the same place, so our eternal virtue will not deviate, meaning they are unified, they are the same. Lastly, we have the image of the valley. The myriad things flourish in the valley, living in harmonious balance. So can we also set that in terms of group dynamics? So in terms of the group, we have a range of diverse talents within the group, and they complement each other. This is an extension of the metaphor where the myriad things live within the ecology of the valley, the environment, and they live in harmony. Every living thing occupies a niche in this ecology in perfect balance. And putting this together for eternal virtue, it just means your eternal virtue shall be more than sufficient to accommodate everyone you encounter. This is the generosity, the providing of the valley. So, as the last note in our presentation, I'll quote the last lines from Lao Tzu. The sages utilize them and then become leaders. Thus, the greater whole is undivided. So now you can see this is about forging the team, the family, the group. One where everything and everyone is harmonious. Our meeting has come to an end, but the journey continues on. Until next time, may the Tao fill you with peace and happiness.